Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic emperor's guide to inner strength and wisdom. Before we begin, a quick note. This is an audio summary designed to be listened to with your full attention. There are no flashy visuals or distractions here, just ideas and insights meant to be absorbed thoughtfully. So settle in, give this your complete focus, and let's explore the timeless wisdom of one of history's most powerful men who chose to live simply and think deeply. Introduction: The Philosopher on the Throne. Marcus Aurelius, who ruled the Roman Empire from 161 to 180 CE, stands as one of history's most unexpected philosophers. Here was a man who commanded the largest empire on earth, who led armies, made decisions affecting millions, and yet found time to write personal reflections that have survived nearly 2 millennia. His book, Meditations, wasn't written for publication or posterity. It was a private journal, a record of his inner dialogue as he struggled to live according to Stoic principles while managing the immense pressures of imperial power. What makes Meditations so compelling is this very contradiction: absolute power combined with radical humility. Marcus didn't write treatises on governance or military strategy. Instead, he wrote reminders to himself about patience, acceptance, mortality, and virtue. He constantly questioned his own reactions, corrected his thinking, and worked to align his actions with rational principles. The result is a deeply human document that reveals the emperor's vulnerabilities, doubts, and determination to be better. The book has no conventional structure. It's a collection of thoughts organized into 12 books, written at different times during his reign, often during military campaigns. This fragmentary nature actually enhances its power, because we see a mind working through problems in real time, not presenting polished conclusions. The foundation: understanding reality as it is. One of Marcus's central preoccupations is seeing things clearly, without the distortions created by emotion or wishful thinking. He returns repeatedly to the idea that much of our suffering comes not from events themselves, but from our judgments about those events. This isn't about positive thinking or denial. It's about precise observation. When something happens that we find unpleasant, our immediate reaction is usually emotional. We feel anger, fear, or disappointment. Marcus argues that we should pause before accepting these reactions as justified. Instead, we should examine what actually occurred, stripped of our interpretation. Did someone insult you? If you look closely, all that happened was someone made sounds with their mouth or created marks on paper. Your suffering comes from the meaning you assigned to those sounds or marks. This might seem like mental gymnastics, but Marcus is training himself to separate facts from interpretations. It's a remarkably modern psychological insight, one that contemporary cognitive behavioral therapy uses extensively. Our thoughts about events, not the events themselves, create our emotional experience. He also emphasizes impermanence. Everything we see is already in the process of transformation and decay. The buildings around us will crumble. The people we know will die. Empires will fall. Even the earth itself will eventually cease to exist. Rather than finding this depressing, Marcus finds it liberating. If everything is temporary, why cling so desperately? Why rage against change when change is the fundamental nature of existence? Accepting what you cannot control. Perhaps the most famous Stoic principle, and one Marcus returns to obsessively, is the dichotomy of control. There are things within our power and things outside it. Within our power are our own thoughts, judgments, desires, and actions. Outside our power is essentially everything else: other people's behavior, natural events, the past, the future, our reputation, our health, and yes, even our death. Marcus constantly reminds himself to focus energy only on what he can actually influence. When faced with someone else's bad behavior, he doesn't waste time wishing they were different. Instead, he asks, what is the appropriate response from me? How can I act with virtue in this situation? He can't control their actions, but he can control his own. This principle extends even to his own body. Marcus suffered from chronic health problems throughout his life, yet he rarely complains in his writings. Physical pain is categorized as something outside his ultimate control. His body will do what bodies do. What matters is whether his character remains steady, whether he continues acting justly and rationally despite discomfort. Death itself falls into this category. Marcus writes about death constantly, not morbidly, but as a fact to be integrated into his worldview. Death could come at any moment, and there's nothing he can do about that. What he can do is live in such a way that whenever death arrives, he's ready. This means not postponing virtue, not delaying important relationships, not waiting to become the person he wants to be. The practice of virtue. For Marcus, philosophy wasn't theoretical, it was a daily practice. He understood himself as constantly falling short of his ideals and needing correction. The meditations are essentially a series of pep talks he gives himself, reminders when he feels frustrated, angry, or tempted to take the easy path. The four cardinal virtues he emphasizes are wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance. Wisdom means seeing things as they truly are. Justice means treating others fairly and contributing to the common good. Courage means facing difficulty without complaint or fear. Temperance means moderation and self-control. What's striking is how ordinary his struggles are. He reminds himself not to stay in bed when he should get up to do his work. He coaches himself through interactions with irritating people, reminding himself that they're acting according to their nature, just as he acts according to his. He works on not seeking praise or fearing criticism. These aren't the concerns of a detached sage. They're the everyday challenges of someone trying to live well. Marcus also emphasizes that virtue is sufficient for happiness. This is a radical claim. He's saying that regardless of external circumstances, wealth, health, reputation, you can be content if you're acting virtuously. Your well-being doesn't depend on getting what you want, but on wanting the right things and conducting yourself well with whatever you have. Social duty and interconnection. Despite Stoicism's reputation for promoting detachment, Marcus insists strongly on social obligation. He writes that humans are naturally social creatures, made for cooperation and community. To work for the common good isn't a sacrifice, it's fulfilling our nature. He uses the metaphor of the human body repeatedly. Just as a hand doesn't have interests separate from the body, individual humans aren't truly separate from humanity. When we help others, we're helping ourselves. When we harm others, we're damaging the whole organism we're part of. This leads Marcus to a remarkable attitude toward difficult people. When someone treats him badly, he reminds himself that they're either acting out of ignorance, not understanding what's truly good, or they're fellow members of the human community who've gone astray. Either way, the appropriate response is patience and an attempt to redirect them if possible, not anger or vengeance. He goes further. People who do wrong harm themselves more than they harm their victims. The victim might lose money or reputation, but the wrongdoer damages their own character, which is the only thing of real value. From this perspective, the appropriate response to being wronged is something close to pity. Dealing with adversity. Marcus wrote much of Meditations while on military campaigns, dealing with plague, war, betrayal, and the constant pressures of governance. His reflections on adversity come from hard experience, not abstract philosophy. His approach is first to question whether what seems adverse truly is so. Often, what we call bad is simply unexpected or unwanted. But unexpected doesn't mean bad. It might be an opportunity for growth, for demonstrating character, or simply a neutral event we've chosen to interpret negatively. For genuinely difficult circumstances, Marcus advocates acceptance without resignation. You acknowledge reality as it is, then ask, what's the appropriate response? How can I use this situation to practice virtue? Obstacles become training ground. Difficulties become opportunities to demonstrate courage, patience, or wisdom. He also maintains perspective by considering scale. From the viewpoint of eternity, most of what seems desperately important becomes trivial. The same events that consume us now will be forgotten in a few years. Entire civilizations rise and fall and are forgotten. This isn't nihilism, it's proportion. By seeing our concerns against the vastness of time and space, we can respond to them more rationally. The Inner Citadel. A recurring metaphor in Marcus's thought is the mind as an inner fortress or citadel that cannot be conquered by external forces. No one can compel you to think in certain ways or hold certain values. Your inner self remains inviolate unless you surrender it voluntarily. This is where true freedom exists, not in external circumstances, which can always be constrained, but in the sovereignty of your own reason and will. Even as a prisoner, tortured and about to die, your ability to maintain your principles remains intact. This was a common theme in Stoic thought, developed by philosophers like Epictetus who had been enslaved. For Marcus, this means constant vigilance over his own mind. He must guard against harmful judgments, irrational fears, and destructive desires. The battle isn't out in the world, it's within. If he can master himself, maintain his principles, and think clearly, then he's genuinely secure, regardless of what happens externally. Legacy and relevance today. Marcus Aurelius died in 180 CE, likely from plague while on campaign. His son Commodus, who succeeded him, proved to be a disaster, cruel, incompetent, and self-indulgent. Essentially everything Marcus tried not to be. It's a poignant reminder that even the most virtuous life doesn't guarantee outcomes. Yet, Meditations survived and continues to speak powerfully across centuries and cultures. Why? Perhaps because the fundamental human struggles Marcus addresses haven't changed. We still deal with difficult people, face mortality, struggle with self-discipline, and wonder how to live meaningfully. We still get angry over things we can't control and forget what actually matters. The book offers no easy answers or quick fixes. Marcus himself clearly struggled throughout his life to apply these principles. But that's precisely what makes his example compelling. Not that he achieved perfect Stoic serenity, but that he kept trying, kept examining himself, kept working toward virtue despite setbacks, and despite having every excuse to indulge himself. In our current moment, with its unique pressures and anxieties, Marcus's focus on controlling what you can and accepting what you can't seems particularly relevant. So does his emphasis on seeing things clearly, rather than through the distorting lens of social media outrage or political tribalism. His reminder to focus on character, rather than reputation, speaks to an age obsessed with image and status. Conclusion: philosophy as a way of life. Meditations ultimately presents philosophy not as academic study, but as practical training, a way of life requiring constant practice. Marcus never presents himself as having mastered this way of life. The book is valuable precisely because it shows the ongoing effort, the daily struggle to align behavior with principles. The emperor on his throne, surrounded by power and luxury, writing reminders to himself about humility, mortality, and service. This image captures something essential about the human condition. Regardless of our circumstances, we face the same internal challenges. We must all decide what kind of person to be, how to respond to difficulty, and what to value. Marcus's answers: pursue wisdom, act justly, face challenges with courage, practice moderation, remember your mortality, focus on what you control, and serve the common good, form a remarkably complete ethical framework. More than 18 centuries later, we're still finding wisdom in the private journal of a man who ruled the world, but understood that the only kingdom that truly mattered was the one within his own mind. If you found this exploration of Marcus Aurelius's Meditations valuable, I'd really appreciate it if you could hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. We create thoughtful summaries and analyses of influential books across philosophy, history, science, and more. Check out our other videos. You might find your next favorite book there. And if this particular work resonated with you, consider purchasing Meditations through the link below. There's something irreplaceable about reading the original text yourself. Also, if you enjoy consuming books through audio, I highly recommend trying Audible. You can access thousands of titles, including this one. There's a link in the description for a free trial. Thanks for listening with focus and intention. Until next time, keep reading, keep thinking, and keep growing.